City Clerk has administered the oath of office to Catherine Carlson. Welcome our new Commissioner, Catherine Carlson. She goes by Katie. Okay, Russ, this is also our new Commissioner, Russ Bartholet. Please welcome him. And Russ, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have nominations for the office of Vice Chair? Sorry? No? Okay. I'd like to nominate our new Commissioner, Russ Bartholet. All in favor, let's take a vote. I'm sorry, I did it backwards. Sorry, she seconded it. Now we take a vote. All in favor? It's unanimous. Roll call, please.
Present.
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 Present. Present.
Present. Today we'd like to recognize Commissioners Matt Buchanan, Diana Cook, Sandra Pursley, and Courtney Stallworth for their contribution to the Architectural and Design Commission. And we're going to be presenting them with plaques.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Matt brought an exceptional architectural experience and a vision for our design guidelines plan. It was invaluable. And Diana Cook. Diana brought exceptional leadership to our commission. Thank you. Oh, here, let's turn it this way. So you can see. Thank you. Sandra Pursley. She brought exceptional attention to detail and personality and charm to the commission.
My specialty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Courtney. Did you know it was you? Courtney Stallworth. Courtney brought 4 years of experience with the Architectural Design and Planning Commission. Thank you. Thank you all. You all brought unique qualities and skills that benefited our community and invaluable service to us. And we appreciate it on behalf of the City of Lancaster and the Architectural Design and Planning Commission. Thank you. Now we have public business from the floor. If an individual is unable to stay through the entire meeting due to extenuating circumstances, a total of 10 minutes is provided at this time, during which input may be given regarding agenda items. Individual speakers are limited to 2 minutes each. Any person who would like to address the Architectural and Design Commission on any agendized item is requested to complete a speaker card for the recording secretary and identify the agenda item you would like to discuss. Each person will be given an opportunity to address the Architectural and Design Commission at the time such item is discussed by the Architectural and Design Commission. Speaker cards are available at the rear of council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Our first item on the agenda under consent calendar is the approval of minutes from the regular meeting of January 5th, 2012. Do we have a motion on this item to approve?
So moved.
I second. Let's vote. I always forget to vote. I think that you need to abstain because you weren't here. Is that right? They shouldn't vote on that. Sorry, you weren't here to say that they're true.
Are we just doing a...
Can you vote?
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. 4-0. Motion passes 4-0. Second item on the agenda is the draft master plan of trails and bikeways update by Mr. Ludicky.
It's very brief, and I've been waiting to tell you. As I'm sure all of you are aware, the City Council did adopt the master plan of trails and bikeways at their January meeting. City staff is currently working with our consultant, Ryan Snyder, to put that in a final written form and make sure that that becomes available online for everybody. But I also wanted to let you know that staff, even now, is using it as a guide for developing projects for the upcoming capital improvement budget, and we expect that you will begin to see things actually happen physically out in the community as the next year or two goes by. So we do intend to start using it as a way to make the changes in the community that we talked about during the process.
That's great. We get to see our work in fruition. Okay. The third item on the agenda is the presentation of the MACC Civic Art Program. Presenter Leticia Fernandez Ivins, Assistant Director of Civic Art, LA County Arts Commission.
Chairperson Bartlett also wanted to acknowledge, as she gets ready for her presentation, a couple of people in the audience. Amanda, I know there's one you'd like to introduce.
I'd like to welcome Andy Campagnoni. He's the Executive Director of the Lancaster Museum of Art and History, and she is working closely with Rhonda Perez and the Parks, Recreation, and Arts Department to get our museum open, and also she is, I guess, one of her... What helps when you speak into a microphone is when you turn it on. She's also working closely with the Lancaster Museum and Public Art Foundation to finalize our public art guidelines. And so, Andy, do you have a few words that you want to say? Do you want to stand up and say hello? Do you have anything that you want to... No, just say hi. So I guess I was saying one of her primary roles is to get the foundation sort of solidified in terms of our fundraising efforts, and also to help put in place our own, public art guidelines. Andy is a commissioner with the city of Pomona as well, and was integral in helping them create their public art plan. So it's amazing that we have her here to help us do this, and to work in conjunction with our commission to make sure that the vision for Lancaster and our public art is what we all hope for. So I just wanted to introduce her, let you guys know who she is. Thanks.
And I'd also like to just acknowledge Norm Hickling from Supervisor Antonovich's office, and very happy that he's here also to be witness to the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I am Letitia Ivins. I am the Assistant Director of Civic Art with the Los Angeles County Arts Commission. It's an absolute honor to be here and always a pleasant drive up. I wanted to start with a really short, and bear with me, icebreaker. I work with the county, and as you can probably guess, our work spans across miles and miles, as far out as Catalina Island, as far east as occasionally Pomona, Claremont, and as far north as the Antelope Valley. But each of these communities is distinct, and that's something that we really honor in our work. And so I'm going to ask each of you if you could tell me, just very briefly, when you leave Lancaster or the Antelope Valley, what do you miss? One thing. I'll start with this commissioner, Bartlett.
I miss our open roads.
Yes.
I miss the lack of smog.
I miss the sense of community and my friends.
I was going to say I miss home.
All the good ones are taken.
They can be repeated
I
and emphasized.
definitely would say I miss our fresh air, for sure.
The open sky, that you can see it.
Wonderful. So these are some of the questions that we ask as project managers when we come into a community that we have or have not worked in. We happen to have done some work in the city of Lancaster at the animal shelter down the way. But it's important for us to begin to understand the identity, what distinguishes the community, and that very much informs the direction of the overall project. And so what I will be presenting today is an overview of the Civic Art program, the work that we've done, and kind of guiding principles that we adhere to throughout all of our projects. And then I'll walk you through a little bit of where we've gone in terms of planning for this particular project at the High Desert MAC. We are in very preliminary stages, and so this is a great opportunity for us to share with you. And if at any point Norm Hickling would like to chime in, please, I welcome you too. All right, just a little background on our policy, and it's exciting that you guys are either on the cusp or beginning to develop your own. Our policy was adopted relatively recently relative to other municipalities throughout LA County. In 2004, our policy states that 1% of construction and design fees for all county capital projects over $500,000 receive an allocation. And for the High Desert MAC, we have a $250,000 allocation, which is sizable and very exciting. A small percentage of that will go towards contingency, but you'll see that the artist fee will pretty much be at $225,000. We have over 130 artworks in our collection. 90 of them we've recently inventoried, and about 50 of them we have just completed. So that number is actually a little bit higher now. And so I'll just briefly walk you through our guiding principles. This one seems obvious, high quality, but we really stick to it. This means high quality not only in the materials and the craftsmanship, but also in the concept. We really encourage artists to push the envelope and have a strong concept that takes us beyond what we ourselves as non-artists can even imagine. This is a project at a DPSS, Department of Public Social Services building in South LA, and photographer Ken Gonzalez-Day, who actually teaches at Scripps College in Pomona or Claremont. He is a photographer, and he applied his photography to these large-scale ceramic tile murals, of which there are 4 throughout the building, of trees to create a sense of calm in an environment that is often high stress. Innovation. This is a work by Bal Noguez Studio at a building and safety permit office. So imagine this, hanging it right back here. It's thousands of hanging nickel and brass plated bead chain that is intended to entertain the waiting customer, of which there are many, and waits can be, as you probably know, hours on end. So this is called drop-in distraction, where it's a play on the acoustic ceiling trial drop ceiling, where the architect slash artist made custom aluminum ceiling panels for this artwork. And it doesn't photograph very well, but you get a sense of how dynamic and very different it is. Site specificity, this relates back to the question I asked you earlier. We really urge our artists to create an artwork that resonates with the community, that also speaks to the history of the community, and ideally, and what I would like for this project is to also think about what is the future of Lancaster, or in this case, Lawndale, which is in southwest LA. This is a library and a glass piece that expands the floor-to-ceiling of the exterior and interior of the library. And what you see here in the detail is historic photos that were culled from the Historic Society in Lawndale, and the artist basically created this kind of kaleidoscopic design with those images as well as old maps of the original subdivisions in Lawndale. And the artist is Anne Marie Carlson. And then I wanted to show this piece, which is just south of us in Santa Clarita at Fire Station 156, recently installed by Matt DeHamers. And it's a fire pit for which he really wanted to create something for the staff, for the firefighters, and also offer an opportunity for the local community to enjoy as well, since there's a tradition of the firefighters inviting the local community to come and barbecue with them. So this is a piece that is lithocrete on the bottom, and then it's a granite rock that was quarried here locally north of Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles. Civic engagement, this is critical to the work that we do, and we've discovered this more and more over the course of the years. When we engage the community, when we ask for their input, when we involve them in the art-making process, they become stewards of the artwork. This is a project in La Puente at Allen Martin Park, where the artists, Merge Conceptual Design, worked with the community, believe it or not, to come up with this color scheme, which is so loud, may not be right for this community, but was right for this community. And they also helped the artists develop imagery that they ultimately stenciled onto the building. And this is interesting because it's also a graffiti abatement strategy. So essentially, the concept was that if a tagger were to tag the building, then the park staff were equipped with the circles so that they could actually put them over, those stencils over the tagging. So there's almost this dialogue then between the tagger and the facility. And in fact, over the years, it has not been tagged. I think it's been tagged once. So we haven't really been able to use the tactic, but that is a good thing. And then this is an image of the artwork that was recently installed by Jose Antonio Aguirre at the Lancaster Animal Shelter. And these are images of a range of workshops that he did with local youth to actually create the mosaics. So he taught them how to format and actually apply the mosaics that ultimately went on the building. I don't know if any of you guys have had a chance to see it, or maybe not. Okay. It's here. And finally, transformation. We believe that an artwork can transform a space, but also the experience of the user and staff. This is the Registrar Recorder County Clerk Elections Operations Center in Santa Fe Springs. This is where all of our ballots are counted. Staff swells to about 300 during election season, and they are working, as you probably know, around the clock counting our ballots. And they have, I think, 15-minute intervals to put their heads down and sleep. And so knowing just or imagining how high stress that must be. We wanted to create an artwork that they could take a moment, pause, and remind themselves what they were working for, and that's democracy. So this is a work done by an artist who used trees to exhibit not only the expanse of the county from ocean to mountains, but also using trees as the ideal citizen, providing oxygen. The trees in Los Angeles, many of them are immigrants here, so exhibiting the diversity of Los Angeles County as well. So that's another shot of, so this is a warehouse completely transformed into a space, a workable space. And then I just thought I'd quickly flip through a couple projects that are in the works. One at Malibu Library, this hot off the press porcelain enamel tile mural that is in the midst of being installed. A project that we are doing at East Rancho Dominguez Library adjacent to Compton, where the artist also used tree and map imagery, and that will be applied in glass around the library. She worked with the community at the current library to create bags with prints that they had created, so she's teaching them printmaking. And a project at San Angelo Park where the artist is creating a low-relief sculpture. It's kind of hard to imagine what it's going to look like from this, but it will be about quarter-inch aluminum panel that will actually be set off from the building's facade on the exterior with light coming from behind, and it should be luminescent, we hope. And then finally, a project that we just installed at the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Public Health, where the artist Cliff Garton created a hanging sculpture with a Venetian plaster in the back. It's an brushed aluminum laser cut sculpture. So none of those works will be in your new High Desert Mac. We don't shop on this committee. We create a work that is, as I've mentioned, really tailored to the site. And I want to talk a little bit about our process. I hear that you all have been involved in kind of critiquing and offering feedback to the architectural process for the project. I don't have too much more information on the technicalities of the design, where the project is at specifically right now, but I wanted to show you renderings for context. I also have the kind of fly-through into the interior that I will show in a moment if some of you have not seen that. Project coordination committees. This is a committee that's convened for every project that we do. It is unique to every project. It consists of both county and, in this case, a city stakeholder. We have a representative from the 5th Supervisorial District, one of whom is Norm Hickling. We have a representative from the Health Services, the department that will be managing this facility, the Chief Executive Office, they're the budget people, they make sure we stay on budget, the Department of Public Works managing the construction, the architect and design builder, an arts commissioner from the 5th District, a design commissioner from the city of Lancaster. We have asked, and I see she escaped, Ms. Bartlett to serve, and a community member. We will probably be soliciting more than one community member from Lancaster to serve on the committee. I believe we have reached out to Reverend Bishop also to serve. And then arts professionals specifically within the 5th District. And then I am the Civic Art Project Manager, serving as a non-voting advisor and facilitating. We have met once in terms of just the kind of planning. Key county stakeholders have been brought together to talk about how we're going to move forward, and that's typical to our process. So our next in-person meeting will include all of these individuals, and the next step would be artist selection. We also talked in this meeting about the project's values, because at the beginning of each project, we determine what's important for this building, what's important for the people that will use this building, and what's important for the stakeholders. And we really frame it as what can the artwork do versus what can it be, because that is the very reason why we bring an artist to the table, because they have the skill set that we may not have to imagine what the artwork will actually look like. But we are critical, this committee is critical to determining what the artwork will do for the space, will do for the community, will contribute to the environment. And here are a number of values that were expressed during the meeting. The artwork will reflect the community and history of Antelope Valley while looking toward the future. The artwork will be uplifting and humanizing. The artwork will be integrated into the building and enhance the architecture. The artwork will be welcoming to the patients, staff, and visitors. The artwork will be easily maintainable. The artwork will make a statement and strengthen and complement the identity of the MAC and the city. And the selected artist will engage the community, specifically art students. And that's really critical for this project in particular. The committee thus far, those stakeholders who have convened, really believe that it is critical for this community to have a sense of ownership over the artwork. So that will be big. Before I go into this, if folks want to see the fly-through, I don't know if I'm using the right terminology for that, but it's kind of a nice video that shows you the interior as well as the exterior of the building. Oh, it doesn't. Maybe I'll flex with this afterwards. Any brilliant person know what I should be looking on? That's the tower. It just popped up on my computer. Maybe not. Well, let's not go on that too much. Sorry, everyone. We talked about the art opportunities. We have to consider also the schedule of the construction to be realistic about what can we do to affect the architecture, to integrate into the space. And so we came up with a couple of locations that we thought were high potential. We wouldn't limit the selected artist to create a hanging sculpture or a 2D artwork, but what will be critical is targeted outreach to Antelope Valley artists as part of our process, and an emphasis on community involvement throughout the project. The two opportunities that we thought were high potential are on the interior of the building, and that's why I wanted to kind of show you the inside. There's a long corridor just as you enter the building and a 35-foot ceiling, and so we thought a high-impact artwork could be a hanging sculpture that actually spans that whole space and then potentially culminates in a 2D artwork or a high relief artwork that's set off from the wall. There's 300 square feet that's set up at the end of that corridor that could be really gorgeous for the artwork to kind of culminate there. So those are some of the ideas we came up with. Let's see. I also am really excited about the outreach to Antelope Valley artists and the engagement of this community, because from what I've learned from Andy Campagnoni and some others that I've spoken to about the energy that's here, the creative energy specifically that's here, the interest in being involved, I think there's so much potential to involve participants, individuals in, oh, you're setting it up, in the art making, in informing the design, in speaking with the artist, engaging with the artist, even participating in the making of the artwork potentially, depending on the artist that is selected. Yeah, okay, got it. When I first saw this, it gave me chills. I'm such a sucker, but that music, I don't know. So this whole area is what we're thinking about, not here, but. And the kites will not be the civic artwork. That's a placeholder, I think, for it. Thanks, Joy. Okay. I'm just going to flip through a couple of images that I threw in here of artworks that are in the medium that we're thinking of, not necessarily in the style or by the artist that we'll move forward with. This is a plaster, bronze, and porcelain, kind of low relief sculpture at the New West Hollywood Library. This is an artwork by Syed Alavi at the Valley Medical Center. I believe this is in either the Bay Area or up north. And it just gives you a sense of the diversity of applications that we could use. These are photographs in tile or in glass panels. And in terms of hanging sculptures, just examples of kind of the type of hanging sculpture we can explore that's beyond, your typical mobile. Ones that can expand a space, an expanse, and ones that take advantage of the light in the building that will be constructed here. There are lots of opportunities for light to pour in, and so the hanging sculpture could take advantage of that. So in terms of the artist selection process, as I mentioned, we identify the opportunities for artwork. We don't hold the artist to doing an artwork in that way, but that's what we recommend, and it gives artists, when they're applying, a sense of what direction we're going in. We determine the selection process, who is the call going out to. We're still refining that, I think, at this point. We know that this will be an open call. It's not going to be limited to a pre-qualified list that we have or anything like that. And we established a schedule, we develop the RFQ and release it to artists. And something that we do in tandem with every call to artists is technical assistance. So we work with artists who may have never applied to the county for a civic art project, maybe have never applied for a public art project. We give them tips on how to put together an application because it can be very daunting. Applying for a public art project is very unique. It's not like writing a grant necessarily. It's not like sending your portfolio off to a gallery. So that outreach and technical assistance is really critical. And we plan and hope to do our first kind of outreach and technical assistance workshop on the 15th of this month. In collaboration with MOA and their artist, you guys call it Artist Forum, the Artist Forum. So stay tuned and we'll spread the word, or Andy will. We select finalists, we interview the finalists and select the artist. We don't typically ask artists to submit proposals, so we are hiring based on past work qualifications, and we find that works, that's more effective for us because when you ask artists to do proposals, you're not giving them ample time to really immerse themselves in the project, work with the architects, immerse themselves in the community, talk with people. So we find that we get more substantial proposals when we hire based on qualifications, believe it or not. And we have 3 design phases. They're not all outlined here, but it's concept, develop design, and final design. And for this project in particular, we want to make sure that there's community involvement throughout. And that may come in various forms. We invite artists to work with us to come up with a community engagement plan, what works with them, for them naturally in terms of sourcing ideas, talking to community members. We don't prescribe a certain way of doing it. It could be an artist setting up shop in a parking lot in front of a store that's willing on Lancaster Boulevard and asking questions of passersby over the course of a day, or offering a little art activity. It could be bringing the community together in a certain space and actually doing an art-making activity. So it can come in many different forms, and we're looking for an artist who's going to be really creative and innovative about that. And then we move forward with fabrication and installation. So the tentative schedule that we have now is a pretty fast track, actually. As I mentioned, we had a stakeholder planning meeting in November, the artist selection meeting by May, and then finalist interviews by June, and ultimately we'll be working on the concept and the final design through the beginning of next year. And that's it. I'm sure there are questions. So if now's the time, please.
I had a question. So just briefly, the selection of the community member that's or members that are on that selection committee. What's that process for selecting those individuals?
I have basically asked individuals on our project coordination committee about recommendations, and that's typically how we do it. One of the recommendations was to bring on a commissioner, and I believe since she's the chairwoman, and that's why we've reached out to her in particular. Bishop Hearn, I believe he's a strong community advocate, and
Former council member.
Former council member. Would you like to add anything, Norm, to that? No?
Okay.
Okay.
So the museum and the folks are included in that, all of that?
Yes, I would like to actually talk to my committee about welcoming a member from your foundation or the museum.
We have.
I think that would be excellent as actually an arts professional to fill that.
Yeah, that was going to be my question or my suggestion, and I wasn't sure if it was to be included or not, but I think certainly I would recommend not to fill her plate anymore, but that Andy should definitely be involved and included. I know she's so excited. And no, but I mean, truly, I mean, we joke because we're very busy right now, but I know that it's something that in order to build that connection between our community and the arts, and we're in such a exciting time right now with the opening of our museum, it creating that communication and bringing the museum in on that is going to be huge. And that, Andy, would be from a staff level. I also think that I would recommend bringing in somebody who's actually on the LMPAF, the Lancaster Museum and Public Art Foundation, and whether that's Dan Venturoli, who is in fact the president of that board, or another member of the board. I think that another individual from one of those groups should be, or from that group should be selected as well. So that's my 2 cents.
It really is a tremendous resource for you, the infrastructure and the museum and the people involved. Our staff, our volunteers are really connected throughout the arts community here.
I've already taken advantage, and I will look toward you to do so, because people aren't going to come to a meeting that I'm going to run. People are going to come to a regularly scheduled meeting for folks that they know and trust and believe are doing important work. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, right. And to clarify, it was formerly called Wiki Nights. You guys might be familiar with the event that the museum used to throw. Is that what we're going to throw? I'm throwing parties. I keep talking about how everything we're throwing now. The event the museum used to put on was called Wiki Nights, and I think it's in transition, and now it has a new name, which is the Forum. Is that what we're calling it? So it'll be that same event. So it is a known event throughout the artist community that Leticia is going to be presenting at and giving people an opportunity to find out about what this project is all about. So those are my only comments or concerns. And I also want to say that building looks unbelievable. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous building. I cannot wait to see that. Manifest. That's beautiful, and it's really. It's just such a great time for Lancaster to have this opportunity to have this money going towards public art, and the idea of bringing the community in and that sense of ownership is just, it's unbelievable. So thank you. Your presentation was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank Norm Hickling and or ask him to pass on our appreciation to the supervisor for the art side of it is exciting, especially for the community to be involved, but how important it is for us to have this facility that the supervisor fought for. Thank you.
I have one question. When we're looking at the artist selection, is there preferential points or consideration for local artists?
Absolutely.
I saw that you covered that briefly.
Absolutely.
And basically, we're going to be basing that selection off of their past pieces of work, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. And, in many cases, there are artists, whether they're in Antelope Valley or from elsewhere, who maybe have not done a commission that's this big, but it will be our job as the committee to translate their work and envision, look, do they have the capacity, though, to step it up and do a project this big? So I would say absolutely, artists in the Antelope Valley will receive extra points.
And Andy, being tightly associated with the artist community up here, has there been any discussion yet within that close community? Like, hey, what are you thinking of doing? I'm thinking of this. What kind of scape do we have?
Not on that level.
Okay.
Because they haven't been given any details on the size of the building. So mostly everyone's just really excited that there's an opportunity this size for them to participate in. A lot of the artists have vocalized their interest in participating on a physical level by manufacturing the work, but not necessarily being the design element. So I think this is a really a big opportunity for not just the artist who wins the award, but to incorporate maybe a half dozen to a dozen artists in the manufacturing process of this, and even quite possibly students. Just
imagine how many large-scale artists this one project will give birth to, so to speak, that
it's way beyond.
Young artists will say, hey, I participated in this, and then it'll give them vision to grow. This is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. I know the chair had to excuse herself. If you'd like to,
Well,
Mr.
Drew.
Vice Chair?
Yeah.
She kind of handed everything to me. She'll hopefully make it back. She had to excuse
I would like to
herself.
defer to you based on
Okay.
based on my 15 minutes in office. I'll
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the presentation, Andy for being here, and Norm for being here as well. Thank you. We're on to public business from the floor, non-agendized items. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the commission on any subject regarding city business. Under state legislation, no action can be taken on non-agenda items. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing the commission regarding items not specifically referenced on the agenda. Please complete a speaker card for the recording secretary. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Mr. Ludicky, do we have any speaker cards?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you very much. Since there are none, the meeting is adjourned at 5:54 to April 5th, or Thursday, April 5th, 2012 at 5 p.m.
I think that should read in the council chambers.
In the council chambers. Okay, thank you very much, and congratulations again to our new
excuse me.
commissioners.
Excuse me, I'm wrong.
Oh, okay. So we are adjourned to the Parks Large Conference Room.
Yes, due
Thank-
to the election.
Oh, that's. Oh, is that?